Hey guys, it's Rage, and today I'm going to talk about different ways to learn tactics when it comes to raids. Specifically, one new way in particular that I've found recently to be extremely helpful, and not a lot of people know about it yet, so I figured I'd make a video kind of dedicated to it. Also, I learned from my previous video and I actually closed my curtain, so now you're not going to be able to comment on the array of lighting exposure that I will come across throughout the video, so apologies for it being so dark, but I feel like it kind of fits my aesthetic for today, so we'll roll with it. When you're progressing in a raid, or if you're just raiding for fun, it's really important to learn the mechanics of a boss. Think of a boss encounter as like a dance instead of a battle against gear. Gear is really important, and you should definitely try and earn as much gear as possible to get the best experience within raiding. But if you don't know the mechanics of a boss, you're basically slamming your head against a wall. So with that being said, I'm going to cover off a couple of common ways to learn mechanics that you may not know about, and then get into the big juicy new way to learn. So the most obvious one is using your in-game adventure guide. If you didn't know, there is a handy book of resources within game. All you need to do is hit Shift J and select the raid and boss that you want to learn about. And the first tab will give you an overview based on what role you play. So if you're a tank, it'll tell you what to look out for that. If you're a DPS, it'll tell you what to do for that. And if you're a healer, well, it will basically just tell you to heal everything and dispel a couple of things. There's also another tab which is abilities, and that is abilities specific to the boss. So here you can actually see an in-depth kind of review of what the boss is going to do throughout the encounter. There's icons on the right hand side that you should really pay attention to, specifically ones that read deadly, or if you're a tank, there's tank specific abilities as well. Usually they're the ones that you tank swap on. Now, using the overview and the abilities together is a good way to quickly learn if you are someone that, learns via reading things and not actually seeing the visual encounter in front of you. This is also a really good way to top up your knowledge before a fight, and I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't look at the adventure guide before pulling the boss. So it's a really good idea to do that. And also, if you have an add-on like weak auras, it actually is a really good idea to bring up the adventure guide and assign a custom weak auras kind of experience to the abilities that you actually need to pay attention to, rather than the full string of everything the boss does, which is totally going to confuse you. Another way to learn about the boss overview and encounters is probably my favorite, which is to watch YouTube videos and Twitch streams, actually. Twitch streams is probably a very niche thing, but the good thing about Twitch streams, especially if you find a small streamer who's raiding and looking at chat, the good chances if you have a question, they'll be able to answer it there and then. So if you have a burning question to ask the streamer about the specific boss, you can, and they'll most likely reply to you, or at least someone else in the chat will reply to you. Being able to visually see the encounter play out is a very, very good idea to put the knowledge that you've gained from reading the in-game adventure guide into actual play. Even though that you're not actually raiding yourself and having the boss encounter yourself, you can see someone else doing it and more than likely see the abilities popping up and what that person does in order to avoid it. The great thing about Twitch stream as well is that usually whenever someone's raiding, they'll put their class and their spec within their title, at least mention it somewhere, so that you can actually see what you should be doing during that encounter. It's brilliant, especially when it comes to the Race to World First stuff that we witnessed over the last couple of weeks. There was a Vengeance Demon Hunter in Echo that I was watching because that's the class I play, and I actually learned a thing or two because they had the abilities popping up sort of like above the screen, so I could see what exactly they were casting and what was in their rotation. Not only Twitch streams, but YouTube videos as well. I've mentioned previously in a video my 3 favorites to watch, and that's Fatboss TV for a giant fat video of the encounter along with tactics, and they're the people that I use to write my own Shriekwing guide for my YouTube channel. So Fatboss TV is great, but if there's too much information that they give you, I also recommend Ready Check Pull that does tactic videos in a similar style to my last Shriekwing one, and also Hazelnutty Games. Her videos are really good, and actually the reason why I started making my own, or made my own, so I highly recommend those 3. Now these are both really decent ways to learn the mechanics of a fight, But a new version has sort of surfaced, at least for me anyway. I didn't know about it until one of my officers messaged me and saying like, hey, have you seen this? And it's actually really, really good, not just for raids, but also for mythic dungeons as well. So if you're doing raiding and mythic dungeons, keep your ears pricked for this one because it's going to be very handy for you going forward in more content. There's a website called mythictrap.com that gives you a giant overview and sort of guide to the encounters that you're going to come across. It's a giant database of information, but it's not loads of words. It's actually words and pretty pictures and GIFs and diagrams and videos. It's so intuitive and so useful and so easy to follow. So let's explore the website just a little bit. I'm going to click on Shriekwing because everyone knows Shriekwing, and I feel like you'll be able to resonate with it a little bit and follow it a lot better for a boss that you know. So I'm going to click normal. There is 3 different difficulties that you can click across the board, but I'm going to stay with normal for now. Scrolling down, you actually have a role filter, so you're able to choose sort of like what you're gonna do during the fight. So for the sake of you guys, I'm just gonna assume that you're DPS, and I'm gonna click DPS. So now it narrows the information that the boss has from everything to just specifically what you need to know about, similar to what the in-game overview guide does. Now, if I scroll down, you can see that phase 1, it gives you some information about phase 1 and how that happens and what happens during it. Just a really, really quick overview. And then it has a video example, which is very clever. It actually shows you what you need to do during a certain mechanic. So when the boss casts a splitting strike, click that video and it actually tells you what to do. It tells you and the other role as well. So in this instance, DPS and healers hide and stack behind the pillar. Then if we scroll down, you can actually see another ability, which is echolocation. If you click on it, it will actually give you some more information by linking you to Wowhead so that you can see, you know, exactly what the range is, the cast time, and everything like that. But going back to the website, you can see another information overview about the ability, and then a video, and it actually tells you what to do as a DPS player. I think this is so intuitive and so useful for players that might struggle, like, I don't know, like reading an in-game journal, me, or maybe following a guide that is put in a specific creator's kind of jazz and you struggle to really follow it. This is so intuitive and so straightforward. I feel like anyone can just follow this. Now, if we scroll down, it also tells you an ability that you need to dodge. So it tells you what to do for that ability. And then it has this really cool high quality GIF for recap and positioning. This is something that I used in my video for Shriekwing, although I didn't actually see this before making my Shriekwing video. As soon as I saw this on this website, I was like, oh my god, that is so similar to what I did. I think this is so clever and so good and so useful to visualize exactly what you need to do for the boss. Honestly, I couldn't have made this better than myself. They even have the cast bar for one of the abilities, which is what I tried doing or what I did. It also has the cone for blind swipe. It's so good. You can tell I love it a lot because I did something very similar. Now, if you scroll down, it goes over phase 2, what happens when phase 2 happens. Again, with the abilities coupled by a nice video showing you exactly what you need to do from a DPS, healer, or tank perspective. Scrolling down some more, it has more overviews of the abilities and the recap and positioning for phase 2. Absolutely amazing. If you scroll down, it gives you a resources page. So this is where you can actually download add-ons to help you. As you can see, they've got a weak auras pack with a URL to download. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, if you do use weak auras, you get weak auras from here, which is pretty good. Then right at the bottom, they link Ready Check Pull's video. So I don't know if this is made by the same people as Ready Check Pull or if they're made in partnership, but it definitely gives me the same vibes, and I can follow Ready Check Pull's videos very easily, so highly recommend those guys. One more thing I did want to mention as well for those of you who are raid leading, or maybe just, I don't know, volunteer raid leading. There's a raid leader button that when you click generates a link that you can send to, you know, your other raid members. And when they do that, it's like a PowerPoint presentation. It's really clever. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean now. So if I copy and paste this and I open up a new browser, then you can see you're in a spectator mode. So if I just pull this to the side and click on next steps, you can see we're on this page. If I click next and I bring it back up, you can see it's moved down. It's a very, very clever way of being able to conduct the overview of the fight. So if I'm telling you about ear-splitting strike, I can show you ear-splitting strike. If I want to tell you about echolocation, I can show you echolocation. We are, yeah, we're bridging, you know, business with games here, guys. We have a website PowerPoint overview. It's very clever and very intuitive. So that's mythictrap.com. I thoroughly encourage you to go and explore it. It also has all guides and tactics for the mythic dungeons as well. So it's very, very useful. I highly recommend that you go into your next encounter having used mythictrap.com. The last thing that I wanted to mention, and I just wanted to mention this sort of like for bonus points really, is the Castle Pinaplia game by Tactical Airhorse. I've mentioned this quite a few times. I've also played it on stream quite a few times. You're probably sick of hearing it, but in case there's no one that has heard it before, there is this brilliant web-based game that goes through the encounters of every boss in Castle Nathria. It's in this cute, like, mini clip style web thing, and it basically introduces you to each boss, the mechanics that you need to do, and what you do for it. Although it doesn't specifically say what the ability names are, that's what you use your in-game adventure guide for. So I highly recommend playing that game just for fun if you have some downtime, and then maybe referring to the in-game adventure guide so you can actually see what the name of that ability is, so you know what to actually look out for during the fight. So that's everything that I've picked up during my learning tactics adventure. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you found it really helpful. If you did, please leave a like down below and a comment on how your experience is going so far. If you want to catch me live, I stream on Twitch every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 12 until 6. That is UK time, and I hope to see you guys there. I hope you guys have a really good rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!